Hey there, Dr. Dallas Bragg here, recovery coach for gay men who want to break free from the addictive patterns of crystal meth and live their best and highest life. Today we're talking about our wounds, our hurt, our trauma, all that shit that existed before our addiction experience and now wants your attention in recovery. If you are struggling with feeling healed, I want you to listen to this video and you might be pointed in the right direction. On this channel, you're going to find lots of resources to help you break free from TINA and attain your best and highest self. Also, don't forget to look for my podcast. It's called the Aftermath Podcast here on this channel as well. I drop a long form video just like this every Saturday. So please turn on the notification bell, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the content. By the way, if you're interested in my one-on-one coaching program, it's called Recovery Alchemy. The link to apply is in the notes of this video. Through weekly one-on-one sessions, weekly group sessions, and daily accountability, your life could look much differently in 6 months than it does right now. Here's a quote for you. It's from a Rumi poem. "The wound is the place where the light enters you." One sentence of Rumi's writings can send me into months of reflection. This line from one of his poems has been on my mind a lot, and very much lately as I'm thinking about and reflecting on my own wounds. And when I'm reflecting on his words, I thought of the beautifully wounded souls that I'll hold space for on a daily basis. For hours on end, I witnessed the gashes left by bullying, untimely death, emotional neglect, abuse of parents, and even the current state of our country. One by one, the person on the other end of the webcam, no matter where they are in the world, reveals the cracks in their soul, the untended hurt, the festering pain, and one by one, I see them turning to the anesthetic of drug misuse. Chemsex temporarily fills those gashes left by your life conditioning, but that also blocks the light from coming in, the light of healing. The wound is the place where light enters you. These words were written over 800 years ago, which goes to show that no matter how advanced our civilization becomes, one truth remains. We all experience emotional wounds. None of us is exempt. Today, I want to explore how this ancient wisdom speaks directly to those of us healing from crystal meth addiction and the complex web of pain that often surrounds chemsex misuse. So let's look at recovery. It is the process of letting light in. Recovery isn't about fixing what's broken. You are not defective. You are not powerless. Your addiction experience is the guiding light toward discovering your best and highest expression. Recovery shows you that those cracks help you see potentialized transformation. So how does that happen? Uncomfortability. Difficult revelations in your therapy or your coaching sessions, vulnerable conversations with family and friends, welcoming the hard emotions in instead of avoiding or suppressing. Every time we are uncomfortable, we create space for light to enter the very places that once felt unreachable by us. When we were using, we often believed that we were filling the emptiness, numbing the pain, making ourselves whole through filling in the cracks. But recovery teaches us that the emptiness wasn't the problem. The wound wasn't the enemy. The tender places in us were actually waiting, not to be filled or fixed, but to be honored as the sacred entry points for our healing. Think about your own journey, the parts of yourself you've been most ashamed of, most desperate to hide or to change. What if these weren't obstacles to overcome, but doorways to walk through? Think about this, the rock bottom. The rock bottom perspective is something I've covered on my podcast. There's something almost mystical about hitting the bottom. The crash landing will open up the old wounds and even create new cracks. One day you're falling, convinced you're being destroyed, and suddenly you realize you've landed. You land on solid ground. That's the rock bottom. The very thing that felt like you're ending becomes your beginning. This is the perspective shift that will transform your recovery and your whole life. Rock bottom is meant to stimulate appreciation, not agony. This is your opportunity to pause and pay attention to what is vying for your attention. I've witnessed this transformation countless times in my coaching work. The moment someone stops running from their pain and instead turns toward it with curiosity and compassion, that is when the real magic begins. That's when the healing starts. That's recovery. The crack in your foundation wasn't a sign of weakness. It was your soul's way of making space for something new to grow, something to heal, something to come from that healing. Your rock bottom wasn't punishment. It was preparation. So let's look at that healing power of witnessed, aware, attention to the wounds. Speaking of uncomfortable, your healing process will deepen once you stop hiding your wounds and you start sharing them outwardly in support groups, in coaching sessions, in honest conversations with friends. When we let others see our tender places, the wounds stop being sources of shame. They get air on them, they get light on them, and they become bridges to connect to others. And the opposite of addiction is connection, right? Every time you share your story, you're not just healing yourself. You're creating permission for someone else to believe that their wounds might also be the places where light can enter. Your vulnerability becomes a lighthouse for others still lost in that sea of addiction. This is why community is so essential in recovery. Not because we need people to fix us, but because we need witnesses to our transformation. We need people who can see the light entering our wounds, even when we can't see it for ourselves. That's true connection. So let's transform those tender places, those cracks, those wounds. Loneliness, shame, fear, these aren't enemies to defeat in recovery. They are the emotions held within the core of our wounds, where the cracks allow light. And that light stings. They're teachers. They're teachers. Those feelings are teachers with important messages. Look at me. I need attention. I need healing. They're the very places where our deepest healing is asking to happen. And it is fucking scary to enter that wound. Crushing loneliness. It points toward authentic connection. Gripping isolation points you toward being seen, being loved. That fear of rejection often points you toward discovering unconditional spaces. When we stop fighting these tender emotions and start listening to them, they transform from wounds into wisdom. The places that once felt like your greatest weaknesses become the source of your most powerful gifts to others. So let me close with this. As you move through the week, I invite you to practice a radical shift in perspective. When you notice old wounds aching, whether physical, emotional, spiritual, instead of immediately trying to make the pain go away, pause, breathe, ask yourself, what light is trying to enter here? Your wounds are not evidence of your damage. They're evidence of your capacity to survive, to heal, to help others do the same. You'll be stronger. You'll grow so much thicker and stronger when those wounds are healed on their own, not covered up with substance misuse. They are the places where your greatest gifts to the world are waiting to be born. The light entering your wounds isn't just healing you. It's preparing you to be a source of light for others still finding their way home to themselves. All right, guys, keep shining. I love you, and I'll see you next week.